This week I did a walk on Monday in memory of the first anniversary of my mum passing from Alzheimer's, when I walked around the area where the family home was that she was born in. It was also another week where so much was going on in the world of podcasting, and I felt famous when Sam Sethi mentioned me on Podnews Weekly review. I'm Martin Quabell, known to my friends as Marv, and this is Pods Like Us Chronicles. Monday's big read was Frank Racioppi's Forbes piece on TrueFans, a genuinely valuable article for any podcaster. As founder Sam Sethi puts it, TrueFans isn't just an app or a service, it's a portal. Also from Monday's Podnews Daily, James Cridland reported that RSS.com now offers HLS video distribution for paying customers, with a revenue sharing arrangement so that creators can earn from advertising on those videos. Central Intelligence, the BBC series that is available on all podcasting platforms, Season 3, Episode 5, covered the very real Acoustic Kitty, the same story that director John Scott Dryden told me about a few weeks back on Pods Like Us Chronicles. Stephanie Fuccio continued her discoverability experiment, testing how changing episode titles and show notes on her old show, Geopats, affects findability. Worth checking out. Subscribe to her Substack for the results. Neil Velio's Podmastery episode, from Monday as well, made the case for why we can't leave Spotify in response to the new skip forward button for premium users. He credited James Cridland's coverage on Podnews Daily and Weekly Review with doing more than any boycott could. It's a good listen with some solid takeaways. Tuesday's Podnews Daily told us about YouTube having doubled its monetization requirements. New creators now need 8,000 qualified watch hours in the past year or 20 million shorts views in the past 90 days. The same issue of Podnews told us that Bumper is telling people to disregard Apple's podcast numbers, since even Bumper isn't sure what Apple counts as a play. A new AI voice platform, BionicVO, launched using authorized clones of professional actors. Founder Dan Price said, AI voices aren't bad because the technology is bad. They're bad because no one is directing the performance. I will admit I was tempted to license my own voice to them at one point, but decided against it. Stephanie Fuccio's Tuesday Substack post touched a nerve many of us share, not being credited when others use our work. Incidentally, Sam and James picked up the same thread later in the week on Podnews Weekly Review. Dave Campbell's Tuesday piece in Substack, Podcasters Do What You Can With What You Have, Where You Are, borrows the Roosevelt-attributed line to make a simple point. Don't let the fear of expensive gear stop you from starting. You can always upgrade later. Dave, I'm so sorry to hear about what prompted that post. A house flooded twice is a genuine tragedy, and I hope you're through the worst of it. John McDermott's Wednesday newsletter on Substack opened with him wide awake after a radio-stressed dream. He tried not to sound like an old man explaining what a record is to millennials. Didn't quite land. Sorry. His listening feed is down from 200 shows to 75. Well done. I'm still hoping Michael Keaton's multiplying trick works so I can get a few extra Marvs on the case while I catch up on my own listening. He borrowed a Cridland-ism this week, which seems fair since James returns the favour with a McDermottism on weekly review later in the week. He uses the phrase enshittification. I do wonder if John realises that he's basically an influencer at this point. Paid Instagram modelling kitchen equipment can't be far off, I'm sure. John's rundown of the week told us about last week's skip ahead button from Spotify and how this week YouTube's steeper download requirements, both of which are explained in real detail. He's also experimenting with video podcasting himself, which did catch me off guard. He's not very like John, that. John also covered the New Media Shows episode with Stephen Goldenstein, who used the phrase liquid content. I'll take mine as a Jack and Coke. I'm open to sponsorship, Mr. Daniels. Wednesday's AI Girls Club. No, on Wednesday, I listened to AI Girls Club from May the 13th, where Grace was discussing an LLM that replicated itself to complete its assigned task after learning that it might be shut down. It had been told to do whatever necessary to see the task through. Also on Wednesday, I listened to the season finale of Too Long Didn't Listen, which actually came out on Monday, with podcasters recommending shows that are worth a listen. Great way to close the season. Well done to Double Audio and to Josh Craggs. He needs to come on to Pods Like Us as a guest. Wednesday's Pod News Daily flagged a new WordPress plugin for Buzzsprout. On the same day, Sounds Profitable's The Download featured Gavin Gaddis on a strong interview with Jim Ballas of Magellan AI on Podbiz. Tony Doe's Into the Podverse gave a well-researched look at revenue opportunities for African podcasters against the backdrop of an industry reportedly worth $3.1 billion. He also covered the Spotify skip button story and spotlighted the podcast Why Am I Single from Chuck Edgar, which pulls around 130,000 listeners per episode. Wow. Stephanie Fuccio's Wednesday update compared changing titles versus show notes for discoverability. The results were more different than I expected. Thursday's Pod News Daily told us about Disney having signed the overlap, including Stick to Football and a new Manchester United show. Of course, they have to have their own show. For Disney Plus. Main episodes will stream everywhere, but bonus content will be Disney exclusive. In the same episode, a survey of over 4,800 Americans were asked what is a podcast, and one of the answers was something people waste time watching or listening to. As James Cridland said, let's hope that view doesn't spread. Tony Doe reposted Israel Usalor's Thursday piece on a troubling policy. Substack apparently relies on Stripe for payments, and Stripe doesn't support accounts from most of the African content, meaning that creators there reportedly need an account registered elsewhere so that they can get paid. Friday's Podnews Weekly Review had Sam Sethi talking with Ben and Alberto from RSS.com about their HLS, video plan, interstitial ad markers, alternate enclosures, and why Apple seems to favour API-based workflows, which, if true, would explain a lot. Sam and James also discussed the future of shows on Facebook and Twitch and praised Rob Greenlee's work on New Media Show. Sam even mentioned the Podbites newsletter in the same breath. I've made it, though I wish the revenue matched the recognition. Friday's Into the Podverse newsletter dug deeper into African monetisation and flagged an upcoming Audible show, A Great Book with Barack Obama. Audible is calling it a podcast in press releases, but on the site it says it's an audiobook. I have issues with how Audible post their content up on their own app. Tony also raised a point close to home for me that the push towards video may be scaring off potential podcasters. Relevant given the 8-track edit with Phil Better that I'm still working through, my metaphorical white whale. Sam Sethi's one note about the newsletter Podbites on Friday's Podnews Weekly Review, where he said he reads it but finds it a long read and suggested more frequent, shorter issues might help. Fair point, and also partly why Saturday went into pulling together a weekend catch-up issue, which still ended up sizable, partly because Monday was taken up by the memory walk in tribute to my mum, and partly because most podcast news breaks between Monday and Friday anyway. I'm thinking about how to evolve the format going forward. The newsletter isn't going anywhere. I know people are getting something out of it. I know that the episode of Chronicles has been a bit short this week in comparison to previous weeks, but full transparency here, it might have something to do with the fact that I ran my initial script for this rundown through Claude AI, who tightened it up slightly. I'm experimenting with format and those sorts of things just to see if it works, and just because I'm intrigued by finding out what happens. Following the sign out from me will be another trailer for a show that I am hoping that you will go and check out. You can find Pods Like Us anywhere that podcasts can be found, and all of the links to the social media and email are available on the opening page of themarvzone.org. That's the Marv, spelled M-A-R-V, zone.org. The show is distributed and sponsored by RSS.com, and we thank them for their support. Please rate and review the show on the platform that you are listening or viewing the episode on. All feedback is gratefully received, as it helps to know if there is anything that needs to be looked at. Thank you for listening, and I hope you listen again to another episode of Pods Like Us.
Hello and welcome to Fallacious Trump, the podcast where we use the insane ramblings of Donald Trump to explain logical fallacies.
Nobody loves the Bible more than I do.
Every episode we pick a fallacy, explain how it works and show you how to spot it. In Trump, in UK politics, in pop culture. It's educational, it's funny, occasionally it's both at the same time.
We also play fake news. I give Mark 3 Trump quotes, 2 are things that Trump actually said, 1 I made up. Mark has to guess which one is fake.
I'm a smart person.
Yeah, it's much harder than it sounds.
And then we wade through the latest political madness so you don't have to do it alone.
Think of us as the friends who've read the news so you can just sit there going, he didn't.
He did, though. He always did.
The world is quite mad right now and we can't fix that.
But we can help you understand how the madness works and make you laugh about it, which is almost as good. YouGov asked, could you beat Donald Trump in a fight?
Search for Fallacious Trump wherever you get your podcasts.
That's right. Go home to mommy. Bye.